Hello, my name is Zachariah Van Sliders with Old Man Gaming. You have decided to tune into another horrible review. Before we get into it, let me just go through the usual disclaimers. I'm a house dad, and while I am trying to do this full time, I'm not there yet. So you might hear my squeaky chair, you might hear my kid in the background. I can go back and edit it because, everything I just said. Number 2, I do not do scored reviews on my reviews. Basically because I believe video games is one of the most subjective forms of art. So therefore, I'm going to give you an overall view of the game, then I'm going to give you pros and cons, in my opinion, as all reviews are. And I'm going to tell you whether or not I'm going to stick with it past the purposes of just this review. And usually I would also give a disclaimer about how I don't get a lot of time with the thing that I'm reviewing, and it's usually kind of like a snapshot of the original game right off the bat. But I actually got through most of this before this review because I did not get a chance to do this review. Our review schedule kind of got wonky, so this one's actually been out for a little while. By this one, I'm talking about Guns, Love, and Tentacles, the marriage of Wainwright and Hammerlock, the Borderlands 3 second DLC. That's what we're talking about today. That's going to be our review. So the overview. I don't want to get into spoiler territory here. So basically, Wainwright Jacobs, and Hammerlock, Alistair Hammerlock, the great hunt guy, the infamous gay couple from Borderlands 3, are getting married. They've gone to a kind of a crazy planet to do so, and you go to the wedding, and of course hijinks ensue. Some craziness goes down, making it kind of hard for them to get immediately married. Their wedding planner is Gage from Borderlands 2. She finally makes a reappearance in the Borderlands 3 universe with her pet robot Deathtrap. You then fight through what can only be described as a Lovecraftian-style nightmare, or at least as Lovecraftian as Borderlands 3 can get. The bad guys are very, very in that vein. A lot of tentacles shooting out everywhere, a lot of madness, and a lot of weird magical stuff. Okay, so I don't want to go more into the storyline because I don't want to get into spoiler territory. I really don't. I know the game's kind of been out for long enough that it really shouldn't matter, but still, I don't want to be that guy. However, in addition to the main story content drop that they gave you, they have also dropped a bunch of new weapons, as well as bumped the level cap up to a 57. But that is where the changes end. Everything else is a lot more Borderlands 3, really. The plot itself took, I want to say, about 5 hours for me, and that's a give or take a rough estimate because I wasn't really keeping track, so it didn't take me too long, and I did actually skip by some other side quests to get to that main ending before this review. So the side quests themselves, there are some that I need to go back to and actually get into and get through and finish. There has also been speculation that there's a raid boss somewhere in this DLC. I have not found it, so I'm not going to speak on to whether there is one or isn't one, so I'm not going to give a pro or a con based on that. But, without further ado, let's move to the pros, the positive. First of all, the writing in this game just keeps getting better, and I can't say how amazing that is. The writing of the main Borderlands 3 was par at best, maybe a little subpar. A lot of undercurrent humor, and some of the writing story beats were very obviously it should have gone a different way and it didn't. And then you look at the last DLC, the Moxie's Heist, was great writing. Really, the highest claim I had for it was how good the writing is, and this one does not disappoint. I actually think it kind of upped the ante a little bit. One of the big pros I want to get across from this writing is you had a lot of humor, silly juvenile humor in the original game, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. And in the last one, it was very funny as well. This one, they kind of went a whole different direction, and I actually liked it. They really gave some heartfelt moments to some of these characters and some of their character story through lines to the point where you actually had some emotional impact. And I'm not even just talking about Wainwright and Hammerlock. Obviously, that story is polarizing to some people out there. Whether you like or hate the situation around that, I thought it was well written. But I'm talking about the bad guys. Again, not going to get into spoilers, but their through line was really well done and had some moments that it wasn't generally funny, but at the same time, it still fit in well, and it actually kind of made you feel something for them, which is something that Borderlands hasn't been able to do throughout this iteration very well. In addition to that, some of the side characters and side storylines aren't just fetch quests or silliness. It actually brought me in. Specifically, there is a side quest with a forgetful detective. Again, I'm not going to spoil, but I got very sucked into the plot, and it is a very emotional, hard storyline in there, which I just wasn't expecting to find in a Borderlands game, and was very pleasantly surprised. Keeping with the idea of doing some things a little bit different, I'm going to go to my next pro, which was the music in this game. The music in this game is absolutely tonally the best music of all of them. I know this is a weird pro to put at such a forefront, but I truly believe it. And I'm not saying it's the music you're going to like the best, but the music fits the situation perfectly in every scene. One thing I also liked is there are a few scenes in this game where obviously the situation is a little bit more depressing or downer. It's not really a comedy situation, and they actually have some musical tracks that are melodious and haunting instead of just your usual guitar riff battle music that they like to do in Borderlands. And it is absolutely perfectly used in this to actually get that emotional response out of you, which I truly appreciated that they put that little detail in. My next pro is the guns are as good as ever, and the legendaries in this, I actually kind of enjoy a lot of them better than the last DLC. I find myself using a lot more that I picked up in this than previous games, which was nice. And then finally, the level cap. I feel like this is kind of a correction of a mistake they already made by raising it just 3 levels before, and now they're raising it to they should have raised it to the 7 in the first place, or waited till now to raise it to the 7. But the 7 levels is nice. It actually gives you some room to play with a build, to get a little bit more out of what you're trying to do, or maybe go in a different direction. And I found that really nice. Those 7 levels really got my character to where I wanted to be, whereas the 3 levels didn't do anything for me. Alright, with that out of the way, let's go into the cons. Con number 1. This is kind of more of the same. It's really good same. It's the highest quality same. But if somebody's giving you burgers all day, no matter how good that burger, that 6th or 7th burger is you get at the end of the day is, it's still burger. And that's something that I think Borderlands is kind of failing to do. They're not giving us anything that's really innovating. They're just giving us more grind. They're giving us more guns and ammo. And while the storyline that they gave us is good, it's still only a few hours, and then once you're done with it, you're done with it. The only thing left is that depressing drumbeat of grind in the back of your head. And a grind for truly nothing. The motivational void in this game could not be stronger. And that's something that bothers me about this game. It's bothered me before, and it's really set in an entropy for me. Like, even now, there are a couple of storyline side quests that I want to get to for the story writing. But other than that, I can't see a reason to go back to it. Even as excited as I was for this DLC, and as much I enjoyed it, and it kind of pulled me in, there's still this, absence of, motivation to go back to it. I've done it. I'm done. If that's what Gearbox is going for, cool. But then they're giving us roadmaps, they're telling us about events, and I feel like you either make a game and you're done with it, or you do kind of a games as service thing. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too, and that's something that just bugs me about it. And I'll probably get some backlash on the internet for this, but I mean, they need to be innovating. This is just more Honestly, this is just more Borderlands 2. Borderlands 3 was just more Borderlands 2, and this is just more Borderlands 2, just with a little bit more of that. And hell, a lot of people are leaving this to go back to Borderlands 2, and that bothers me. Don't get me wrong, I'm a Borderlands fan. I want this game to succeed. I want it to thrive. But to do that, you have to give us more than just new guns and some story. That's my big con. And that con is a little bit overall. It definitely doesn't speak for the DLC. I think the DLC is great and should be played. Aside from the fact that you're going to lose the motivation the minute you're done with it. The other con is a little bit nitpicky. I don't like the bad guy names. They're ridiculously hard to say. They're ridiculously hard to remember. I can't tell them apart, and I found that extremely irritating. I like being able to see an enemy and know the name in my head, and in this, it's just like nearly impossible, especially with the bonded, the different types of bonded. They all have like two names, and there's tons of Z's and X's in it, and I understand that they were kind of going for the aesthetic of the Lovecraft sort of thing, but I don't know, I just found it a little bit irritating. Not the bad guys or the play himself, just the names I want to be able to remember. And like I said, it's super nitpicky. It bothered me enough that I felt like I needed to mention it. Alright, so that's all the cons. Let's go to whether or not I'm going to stick with it. Alright, well, I've beaten the DLC, the main storyline anyway. There's a couple of side quests I need to do. But whether or not I'm going to stick with it, so I'm going to look at it as whether or not this is going to keep me in Borderlands for any extended period of time. Unfortunately, that answer is still no. They're not giving me anything I want that would make me interested to come back. And it's sad to say, and I know there's going to be people out there that disagree with me, and that's fair. Like I said, this is a review, it is an opinion, and that is all. But it's still my opinion, and I have to speak it. My biggest problem with this game, on a whole, is they're not giving us anything other than a few hours of new content here and there, and just more, like, grind, over and over grind. And I don't like that. And they don't make the grind interesting enough. Like, the grind is literally just going, fighting a bad guy, saving, quitting out. Going, fighting a bad guy, saving, quitting out. That's not enough. It's not enough for me. I need more than that. And this game has the potential to give me more, and it's not. There's so many things they could do. Give me different weapon types other than just ranged. Give me new character classes. Give me new character skill trees for the characters. There's just so much they could be doing with this that they're not doing with it, and it bothers me a little bit that they're not. The other thing is too, there is a whole money scandal in the back seat, and whether people see that news or not, I'm not going to go into it on a review, but I think that's going to cause a problem, coupled with the whole quarantine, that we're going to have a problem seeing DLC and seeing content from Borderlands 3 moving forward. So it's not enough for me to stick with it. Like I said, I may or may not go back to one side quest that I really wanted to finish, but other than that, I'm really kind of done with it again, and I'm done with it until they give me something more in this game that they're not giving me. Alright, so that's it. That's my review. Love it or hate it. Again, I just want to say to everybody out there, this is just an opinion. And it's an opinion from an idiot old man sitting in his basement just, posting a video about his opinion. So, there are plenty of opinions out there that disagree with me. Go out there, find them. That's totally fine. But like I said, just my opinion. If you like the game, play the game. And as far as this review is done, I am done. You can check out everything the channel has to offer. We have so much. Check us out at Old Man Gaming, DH on Facebook, at Old Man Gaming 9 on Twitter. Join our Discord. The link will be in the description below. And of course, as long as you guys keep watching and listening, we'll keep making it. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys next week.